You're listening to Video Villa Podcast, episode 13, Beverly Hills Cop by Martin Brest. So today it's your expected duo, me and Logan, and we are talking to you about Beverly Hills Cop, 1984 by Martin Brest.
Yes. Do you like this one?
Yeah, it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's funny. Eddie Murphy's funny, and everyone had like a sarcastic sense of humor, which also made it, appealing and easy to watch.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those Eddie Murphy movies. It's like this one and Coming to America. Really, to be honest, I really like this one and Coming to America are his most well-known movies. I really do feel like that's my opinion, I think.
But yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, I really like anything that has Eddie Murphy in it. Like Coming to America is really enjoyable. He's just funny. He also did Dr. Dolittle and stuff like that.
For a family movie, Dr. Dolittle is a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not his classic rated R Eddie Murphy movie.
It didn't have like the adult sarcasm and like the kind of like shitty, snarky comments, which like are funny. It was definitely obviously in the children's zone, but it was still like, it's still enjoyable. He seems like a very happy human being, which makes him really fun to watch.
Yes, I really do think so. I think out of all the Eddie Murphy movies, I will say, as far as like comedy goes and stuff like that, this one is funny, but when you get down to the root of this movie, it's overall a good movie. Even if you took out the comedy, it's still kind of a good like action flick.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know originally when they were working with the script, it went back and forth for like, okay, we want it to be comedy, and then they're like, well, let's actually kind of make it action, and it still kind of worked. But to be honest, like it's staying as a comedy, I think definitely helps it out and makes it a much better film.
Oh yeah.
But even with the comedy out of it, it's still like a good, like the beginning scene with the I was telling you when we were watching, like I love the opening scene with the car chase. I love that how that freaking semi truck just goes through and demolishes every single thing.
For no reason.
I feel it's hilarious.
Yeah, I really like the soundtrack. I just like the music and
that
like techno-y type music. I enjoyed it.
Harold Faltmeyer or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce the last name.
There's an E before the Meyer. That's a tricky one, Harold.
Yeah. No, he is notoriously known for his synth work, and especially since it's being an 80s movie, it's heavily synth. When we were at the vintage show last couple weeks ago, I got the Fletch soundtrack at the records.
Oh, yeah.
At one of the records guys, and that is his soundtrack too. And that one is... that one's rough because it's good, but it is heavy synth. Like a lot of
You should make your own.
It's cool, but it kind of is like it's almost like on the bad side of synth. Like it's way too 80s to the point where, like I don't think you want to ask for it to be this 80s.
Oh yeah,
even in the
80s. Yeah, it was too 80s for the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, I was not dancing around, but singing along and whatever, making noises along to the movie yesterday in our living room.
I agree with you. Like with the soundtrack of this movie, the soundtrack it's funny because it's so upbeat, but like the core movie is like pretty messed up. Like his best friend dies, and then you find out, I mean, that this guy is literally selling things underneath the black market.
Through the black market.
And like he's hiding them from customs so he can sell them and make his empire riches and stuff like that. And also he's distributing drugs through it as well. So it's like it's very dark.
I didn't even really pay attention to that part. I thought the music was fun and that Eddie Murphy's funny.
But yeah, so we're gonna before I get into the cool facts about the movie, we're gonna have Becca read the back of the VHS.
The back of the VHS, the tongue twister. Yeah, so in the little synopsis for the VHS, first off, it has Eddie Murphy looking real cool on.
Oh yeah, you liked his fashion in this movie a lot, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, if anyone has one that they're getting rid of, I'd really like an old school like crew neck that has the sleeves cut off. Not fully off, but has them as like half sleeves, so I'll buy it off you. Anyways, so the synopsis is Eddie Murphy's hilarious portrayal of Detective Axel Foley has propelled Beverly Hills Cop into the ranks of the top 10 biggest box office hits in history. Foley's a brash, street-marked Detroit detective who follows the trail of a friend's murderer to the posh surroundings of Beverly Hills. And before Axel gets his man, he gets up to his neck in an international network of smugglers and drug peddlers. It's a fast-paced adventure that proves the difference between a really good comedy and great comedy is Eddie Murphy. Bam.
Beautiful.
But yeah, so I mean, it is very true. Like it's a fast-paced adventure. The movie's like one and done. I forget how long it is, but it's right up my alley time-wise. I critique that regularly.
Yeah, I didn't feel like this was a too long.
But yeah,
of a
it's
comedy.
fast-paced. They get to the point, and then it ends. But it's also very funny the whole time. And the thing is, like, not even Eddie Murphy is just humorous during it, but so are like the snide remarks that like the Beverly Hills cops make, like. Everyone makes like funny remarks throughout, which make it enjoyable. It's like, although Eddie Murphy is the main focus and that he's funny, a lot of the other actors have their own moments too where they're very funny.
Which is really funny because
Is it?
So like with this movie, it's weird because so when this movie took about 5 years for it to actually get its script in the right place, and then they were working around with different studios to try to get it published and like actually get in production and stuff like that. And they were having a hold up because originally they wanted Mickey Rourke to be Eddie Murphy's character. And it just wasn't the fact that like he wasn't having it. It was basically like they did this thing called like a holding deal where basically they make him sign a contract and said by X amount of time frame that you can't do any other movies in this time frame. And they paid him $400,000 for the holding deal, which he got that money no matter what. But once it expired, he was like, hey, yeah, I'm not doing your movie. So it's kind of like spent all this money for like nothing.
Damn.
It's crazy. Like, I don't know. But yeah, so they offered it to Sylvester Stallone. And he agreed and accepted, but he had some changes he wanted to make to the script. And he kind of, he changed a lot of the dialogue and stuff like that based off of how like Stallone speaks and stuff like that, which the people working with the movie, they said that was fine because they was like, hey, you're working on the movie. This movie's catered towards you. So yeah, it's not unheard of for actors and actresses kind of asked to rewrite the script a little based off of how they speak and stuff.
Yeah.
But the problem is he got rid of all the comedy. He wanted to go straight into a full-blown action movie.
Yeah.
Which basically made the budget skyrocket.
Well, yeah, because then you need stunt doubles and this and that and whatever else.
And then they had a budget about $14 million, and the movie that Stallone wanted to make wasn't even close to that. And the funny thing is, when they offered it to Sylvester Stallone, Jerry Bruckheimer was also working with the studio because they had seen Eddie Murphy on the Paramount lot. Yeah. And they were talking to him like, hey, we think you'd be really good for this movie. And they had a conversation where he's like, yeah, I'm definitely down to doing it. And then when they went back, like, okay, I think we got Axel Foley now. And they're like, oh, we already offered it to Stallone. So it's funny because it was offered to Mickey Rourke, then went to like, not like fully like offered to Eddie Murphy, then to Stallone, and then they actually got Eddie Murphy, who's who they wanted to.
Yeah.
And they kind of had to play a little thing back and forth where like they just Stallone kept on pushing the budget and stuff like that and things that he wanted. And they kind of wanted low-key to be like, hey, listen, like, we don't really want you to do this anymore. We kind of want Eddie Murphy. And they were trying to find a way, like a good way to like tell him that. And they basically just came down and was like, this movie's not working out. You've blown out the budget way too much and stuff like that. And they did say that Stallone was completely okay with it.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
he was very...
They're all professionals.
Yeah,
so.
he handled it very professionally. It wasn't anything big and extravagant. He was just like completely okay with it. Which is funny because there's a couple things he wanted to change in the movie. He wanted his name to be changed from Axel Foley to Axel Cobrietti. And so they could call him the Motor City Cobra.
Yeah, that's cheesy as shit.
Okay. Well, here's the funny thing is, so then in 1986, okay, a lot of the changes that he made to the script, Stallone did a movie called Cobra, and a lot of those changes he wrote were in that movie, Cobra.
Yeah, I mean,
I love Cobra, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, his ideas and his rewrites weren't owned by, anybody besides him, so he could do that if he wanted to.
Yeah, it's funny because he kind of ended up getting to still make the same movie that he wanted to make. It wasn't it wasn't a cop from one place to another place. That wasn't the main purpose of the movie Cobra. But you can definitely. It's funny after I found that out, and I've seen Cobra thousands of times, and I'm like, oh, that's funny because as soon as I started reading some of the stuff, I was like,
you make connections.
Yeah, I made connections before I even found out. Oh yeah, it was Cobra.
Yeah.
They also want to get Martin Scorsese to do be the first director to direct it when it was more of a serious script. And he just wasn't just something that he did. He felt like that movie had already been made because the premise of the movie is a cop from out of town being a cop in another town. That's the premise of the Beverly Hills Cop.
Ultimately, yeah,
he's from Detroit and he's being
just
cop.
completely out of his element.
Yeah. Which is funny. So as we see in the beginning of the movie, we get a nice bunch of B-roll of Detroit and stuff like that. So when the director wanted to go and shoot those, they had actual Detroit cops with them and stuff like that.
Wow, that's funny.
For like extras and stuff like that, and also working on the set and stuff. When he told them I want to go here, I want to take some shots here, I want to get some shots here. The police officers wouldn't go with them. They're like, we that's a bad part of town. We don't go there.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the police won't even go with him to do some of the shots because at the beginning of the movie, all those shots, that's all real. Those are real people. Those aren't actors. That's real, just B-roll. Of just people in their element and stuff like that, which is kind of cool because I like that look because it makes makes this movie feel a little bit more authentic.
Yeah. It makes it more candid.
Yeah, I do. I really like that. That was one of the big things at the beginning of it. It doesn't feel too poppy and too popcorny, kind of like a movie where it's all about selling. I don't know. I mean, it's like certain movies where there's ad placements everywhere and stuff like that, and it didn't feel super commercial. That's the word I'm looking for.
Gotcha.
Which I like that. I like that non-commercial feel that the movie had.
Oh yeah.
And it was also found that which is pretty much obvious when you watch a lot of Eddie Murphy movies, a lot of those lines in the movie is him improvising them. So a lot of the funny lines, and you can kind of tell when Eddie's going on like a rant or something like that. You can tell what's probably scripted and what is actually his improvisation.
Yeah, what he came up with on the jump.
Yeah, because he if his comedy style and stuff like that, because this is this movie came out his last year at SNL. So he was at SNL for 40 years, and this was his last movie before he became the humongous movie star Eddie Murphy. I mean, he did 48 Hours, which is great. Did Trading Places, which is another great film. His third film was Best Defense. I haven't seen that one yet, but this was his fourth studio film.
A movie you haven't seen?
Oh, there's tons of movies I haven't seen.
You shouldn't be saying that when we're doing a movie podcast.
No, I mean, there's tons of movies. Some things when I'm just not interested in, I just don't watch it. Don't get me wrong, I got a bunch of movies on my to-watch list, and it's just so hard to find the time to watch everything because there are things that I'm 100% interested in, and there's things I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
I can't even. I've got when I got that VHS collection from that guy, there's a movie called Used Cars that I got that I wanted to watch. It's a Kurt Russell movie, rated R comedy and stuff like that. And I want to watch it, but then like every time I sit down to like, okay, let me throw that in the VCR. I'm just like, there's probably other things I really want to watch right now instead of that, but I do want to watch it. Like this movie, like now that I know it exists, I want to watch it, but it's like there's so much other stuff on my list to watch before I get to stuff like that.
Yeah, I also feel like it seems like you favor more horror over comedy.
Well, when I get the free time, because that's the hardest thing for me to watch during the free time is horror. Because I can watch comedy anytime I want, but when I get free time, it's because you don't like it. So
yeah, I mean, I don't mind some horror, but I'm very, very selective over it. I don't like just like nonsense. You like just nonsense horror, which is fine. That's just not my jam.
But back to the movie and stuff like that. But yeah, when we get back to the composer, the guy that made the music, the Harold Faltermeyer. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I should have Googled it, but I see it. I just don't know if that's Faltermeyer. Faltmeyer?
I think so.
Faltermeyer? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he also did the Top Gun.
Oh, nice.
He did the Running Man, and then he did
Tango and Cash.
Yeah, Tango and Cash.
Yeah.
You liked that one, didn't you?
Yeah, Tango and Cash is good.
See, that's one. I think that's a good one we should review too, because that one's funny and it's actiony and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's the one I do want to look into it, because that's the thing is I don't know if it's ridiculous on purpose, because there's certain movies that were ridiculously actiony on purpose.
Oh yeah, just like be extra.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think that movie was supposed to be like that. Because there's the Last Action Hero. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but Last Action Hero is basically Arnold Schwarzenegger making a movie making fun of action films that he was in.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And it's like two worlds. There's the movie world and the real world and stuff like that. And like when I watch Tango and Cash, I feel like Last Action Hero is like one of those movies like, oh, it's making fun of a movie like that. But I didn't know if like Tango and Cash was kind of making fun of itself or not. But that's another good Stallone movie.
Yeah.
With Kurt Russell, which is great.
Yeah, it is good. I like Kurt Russell too. He's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Not as funny as Eddie Murphy. I like Eddie Murphy.
No, yeah. I mean,
I would like to meet Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, he's calmed down a lot lately, because there for a while he was a little like, it was really hard to get a hold of him. He kind of like was
yeah. Did you try to call him? You try to ring him?
No, I mean like in the Hollywood world and stuff like that. And then he made his Dolomite movie on Netflix, and then he came back and he did this little like funny thing at I don't know if it was the Oscars or something like that. But like he's had a good resurgence. And the thing is like he has these. Now that I've watched a lot of interviews with him lately, he has these cool stories he likes to tell now and stuff like that of being like when he was in his prime, because he made a bunch of stinkers at the end of his career.
Yeah.
But now like has all these cool stories about, he was openly talking about the Beverly Hills Cop movies, how he didn't want to do a third one. He wasn't going to do a third one. And then he was like, and he goes, then they showed me this. And I was like, I'm not doing a third one. And they told me, they were like, okay, well, we'll pay you this. He's like, I said I'm not doing it. And then they're like, okay, well, how about this? He goes, all right, when we doing this third one? It's like they just kept on offering him more money.
Yeah.
And he said he could tell, like the third movie, he's like, the script wasn't there, but he really, I did it that was a lot of money they were giving me.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. And also like about celebrities kind of dying off for a little while. I mean, people got to think these people are human too. I mean, obviously they live a completely different life than like, typical people, but they are human too. They have families, they have friends, they have loved ones, whatever. They also need time to themselves. And like, I mean, there's so many articles and stuff that you can find about this, but just like the wear and tear Hollywood has on people, even like, the best of people. So yeah, I mean, every time someone's like, yeah, this actor, or even like this like music artists or whatever, like, yeah, they just kind of like fell off and disappeared. It's like, well, yeah, it's probably too fucking much. They probably wanted a fucking break, obviously.
Oh no, yeah, and that's the thing is like Eddie Murphy was a superstar. I mean, you got to think like the guy for the longest time was making hit after hit after hit, and I mean, Nutty Professor, humongous hit.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure the Dr. Dolittle movies did well because they did cater towards a family.
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
You've got, the Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America. Then you had a little bit, Trading Places, great movie. You had Distinguished Gentleman. It was good in its own realm. It's not as far as like a Beverly Hills Cop movie, but it was also very good. You had Boomerang. I don't know if that did well, but I remember liking it. I don't know if it did well, but I'm saying like he had all The Golden Child, which was compared to Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
That's why like they were kind of worried that they were going to come out at the same time because they were very similar. That movie made so much more money than Big Trouble in Little China. I think it was like 300. That was one of the top grossing, I think in the top 10 of that year when it came out. Even though people will say it's not good, it still made a shitload of money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could get his name on something, like, you knew your money, you knew people were going to, asses were going to be in seats.
Well, yeah, he was an investment.
Oh yeah, 100%. He even did horror. Well, comedy horror, but with what's called Vampire in Brooklyn with Wes Craven. Wes Craven directed that. Like, I mean, this guy, like I said, some people are not going to like these movies, but like some of them, like they're still good. Like when Eddie is on screen, it's watching a master at work.
Oh yeah,
100%. One of my favorites, and then after I'll say this, well, we can go and get into the breakdown of the movie. But one of my favorites, hands down, which I know it flopped humongously, but it had some of my two favorite comedians, Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy and Bullfinger. I don't care who you are, but that movie is hilarious.
Yeah.
It did awful. But I will say, I watched that with my dad all the time, and we laughed and laughed. That movie is hilarious. And if you don't like it, watch it again. Just give it, just sit down.
Keep watching it until you like it, is what Logan's saying.
Sit down. Maybe if
loosen up a little.
Loosen up. If you like to drink a little bit, have one or two. Or if you like to,
whatever you do.
Yeah, whatever you like to do, and you like to chomp on some stuff that makes you feel good, do a little bit of that and watch it. I'm telling you, you are going to have a good time if you just kind of relax and watch it.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway,
that's your guys's.
I love that
assignment.
movie. I would love to review it, but like I don't feel like. I mean, maybe people might like listen just because they hate the movie so much.
Oh yeah.
And then they just want to like disagree with me. But I will say that movie is awesome. I love it. And
well, you're also probably really connected to it because it's something that you and your dad.
Oh my God, my dad! I almost cry laughing. But if you want to watch a movie with somebody and feel good, watch it with my dad because he's the best person to watch movies with.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I pretty much broken down everything I want to say about it, and we can go into start breaking down the movie. So you wanna start us off?
Yeah. So ultimately, the beginning portion of the movie, you meet Eddie Murphy, and he's kind of like, the way you meet him is him already like putting himself on ice with his job as a cop.
Yeah.
So
which was not his intentions.
Yeah, but it's like you're already on the shit list. What you doing out there with people dealing cigarettes? Also,
well,
why are
undercover.
people? Yeah, but also like, why are people dealing cigarettes? You can just buy cigarettes.
Well, it's the taxes.
Oh, okay.
That's the big thing about the taxes.
Stupid.
Like when you buy cigarettes, they're taxed so much, and then if you resell them on the streets, you get to profit all that.
Yeah, so ultimately he's trying to be undercover, and the cops roll up because they didn't know Eddie Murphy was there undercover, and the cigarette dealer that's driving the truck with all the cigarettes in the back takes off with Eddie Murphy in the back and leads off to this like crazy...
Like I said earlier, great scene.
Yeah, this crazy police chase. And the thing is, if you guys want to go back and just watch this specifically, nothing about this police chase makes sense. Nothing fucking makes sense. There's one point where they're like coming around a turn, and there's a car parked on top of a water fire hydrant, or parked on top of something. The back end is like way up in the air. He didn't hit the car, but I just happened to notice, like, as the screen was rolling forward, that I'm like, Logan, that car is like up in the air. Like, I don't know, like, if that was like a set, or if that was like real.
No, that wasn't a set. That was all out.
Street-
Like that was. I think that was all in the streets.
Yeah, so I don't know. Somebody's car was put on bricks, if you know what I mean. And they just happened to just drive past that, or what. But yeah, he's just like, he's hitting everything, but nothing is in his way.
It's hilarious. Like, there's this one part where he runs over a bug, but the bug just straight up turns into. It's so funny. He just turns like straight into the semi truck, and he just runs over the back end, and it's just like the amount of like cars are destroyed. I don't know why, but I just found it so hilarious.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's this police chase, and I think they end up catching him, right?
I don't remember because he takes off running, and so I don't know if they actually caught him because the guy that's the driver that
he
clearly
wrecks and then runs.
Clearly is the stunt driver because when he gets out of the car, he has
It's
a
a
full
different
head of
guy,
hair,
yeah.
and the guy that's in there is clearly balding.
Yeah, it was definitely a scene where, like, if you've watched enough times and you have the time to just, like, really pay attention to it, like, really watch every second of it, there's so many, like, weird things that you can catch. But then, ultimately, you now realize that Eddie Murphy is an undercover cop, or a cop in general, and you switch over to like this like police locker room or whatever, and he's getting reamed out by his like his officer,
his boss,
officer,
I can't remember
because his officer
name.
got his ass reamed out, and then this is like the first introduction to some comedy because he makes a comment like, "I got my ass reamed out so bad I don't have any." And and as he's walking away, Eddie Murphy's like, "Hey, by the way, you still working with something," or whatever he says, which is
I
funny.
wouldn't doubt if that's like completely ad lib because that's the one thing the acting.
You mean
in this,
Mad-libbed?
Mad-lib, whatever. Ad-lib,
Ad-libbed?
Mad-lib, same thing.
I don't think ad-lib is. Mad-libs is the game where you plug in the words. I love that
ad-lib.
shit.
But anyway, but yeah, I'm sure like some of these, like the acting in the movie, I notice the way Eddie talks, it's, you know, he still hasn't honed in on like his like, you know, still hasn't honed in like on his like, I would say like he hasn't fully developed and flushed out as to the full blown Eddie Murphy acting. Some of this movie that he's doing, because like, you know, this is still early in his acting career. He still doesn't have that like that full like I'm not saying like a confidence yet or something like that, but it's just his acting's a little different in this one. But it also I do like it though because it seems more natural.
Yeah.
It's not like he's pretending to be a character. It almost feels like he's just trying to slightly be himself in the conversation, which I think I actually like.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets reamed out by his boss, which then, you know, after that, Axel ended up making his way back to his house. And this is when we find out that his house has been broken into by his friend Mickey.
Yeah, which also, like, why did your friend break into your house?
Right? Like okay.
Did I miss something?
Well, I think what it is like, and they say it later, they call him a hoodlum. But I think what it is like, okay, like this is like, you know, they grew up in Detroit together doing things that they shouldn't have been doing. And now he's a cop.
Yeah.
So, and he's like, okay, well,
you get that little bit of background.
Yeah. So
while
I'm
they're
gonna,
at the bar.
So like, yeah, of course I'm going to break into my friend's house because I know how to break a lock. I mean, pick a lock or whatever. And then he comes in and he's like, you know, he's eating a sandwich, which it's so weird. It's like, you're just sitting there like eating a sandwich with the freaking refrigerator door open. You need to shut your refrigerator door, which, you know, Eddie Murphy says something about it, but it's like, first off, I'd be pretty upset if I come home and like the refrigerator door is just wide open and someone knows
Duly
about
noted.
it.
No,
add it to the list of things to make Logan mad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes in and then we get this little reunion between him and Mickey, and you make it clear that, you know, like they've been friends from a long time. They don't go into a lot of the details, but just basically
just like small remarks that you're like, okay, you guys have had like a long time past, and like you said, probably like a fun illegal past.
Yeah.
And then Axel has went obviously a different route than Mikey, considering what's going to happen to him shortly.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so they end up going to get drinks, and they both get like kind of drunk. And they're making their way back to Axel's place. And while they're there, these two guys show up. I forget their names.
They basically just ambush them.
Yeah, they're outside trying to get into the house or whatever, get into Eddie Murphy's apartment.
Well, they're looking for Mickey.
No. I'm just saying, in general, Eddie Murphy and Mickey came home to get into Eddie Murphy's Axel Foley's apartment.
Yeah. So they come back and they ambush them. They knock out Axel.
Yeah, just bob him right on the back of the head.
He's out cold, and then
Which I will say, if you're drunk, from my understanding, you're pretty easy to knock out.
I guess so.
I mean, they do say that. Like, that's why people with drunk fights say, like, people that get in drunk fist fights, they usually, like, knock each other out. Yeah.
But yeah, so Mickey basically has stolen some bonds, which we knew about earlier. Deutschmarks, whatever, bonds from the place where he worked. And he brings it up to Axel in the previous scene, and it's something he was not supposed to do. And clearly his boss had found out about it and sent two goons to retrieve them.
Yeah.
And they make it seem like, okay, this is a little light conversation. They're going to beat the crap out of them.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. Like, oh my gosh, that guy just played it off like, I get it. You're sorry. Like, don't let it happen again. The boss is really mad. This, that, and the other. Like, I think he slaps him once. I won't. Yeah. He's like, just don't lie to us. And he's like, has his arm around and walking down the hallway. And then just like,
he punches him in the stomach and then blows his brains out.
While he's on his hands and knees, grabs his head and blows his brains out. I cover my eyes every time. I don't want to see that shit.
It's not graphic, but it's still like...
Oh, no, it's not graphic. You see it from afar down the hallway.
Well, like I said, this movie, like I said earlier, this movie is a good action movie.
Yeah, it's just so cringy that he was being so nice. Like, dude, just fucking blow his brains out in the beginning if you're going to do it.
Yeah, that's the sad thing is like that last, like, I guess, thought before he died was like, okay, everything's okay. Then, bam, you're dead.
Yeah, like, well, you just wasted so much of people's breath by just talking back and forth for no damn reason. It ain't gonna save anybody. That's like people say, like, really sadistic people, like, they like to see people beg for their lives.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But it wasn't even like that. He was being nice to him.
Yeah.
Like, didn't even, I mean, he was scared, obviously, but, and then it also, then you flip scenes and Axel's outside of the apartment, taking care of a wound on the back of his head, while the police are obviously investigating a murder now because, Axel was knocked out, which also would, like, really suck if you got knocked out and while you're knocked out, something happened to your best friend that was, like, so severe.
Yeah, nothing that there's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah, but then also you're like, damn, I'm kind of, like, happy I survived. They just knocked me out. They didn't do anything worse.
Yeah, and that's when basically his boss lets him know, is like, listen, you need to go to the hospital, get that taken, get your head checked out. That he needs to separate himself from the incident right now, because it's not good for him, and B, it's too close to home for him to be involved.
Which is very common. He wants
to be involved.
Yeah, from my understanding, which is very common. If you have like a conflict of interest, usually they try not to, put people in cases like that, from what I understand.
Yeah, so that's basically what happens there, and
which then he's like, well, can I go on vacation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he agrees to. I think he like, he's like, if you think about getting into this case, it will be the last case that you see. And he's like, no, I just want to go on vacation. He's like, okay, all right, get your head checked out, and then you can start your vacation immediately.
Yeah.
So now we got Axel, and he's going to head on his way to Beverly Hills, which, he stops by, it looks like the first hotel he sees. Now,
yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I don't know jack shit about Beverly Hills. I don't know anything about, like, that kind of stuff, to be honest. So, like, I don't know if the Beverly Palm Hotel is a, like, really famous hotel or whatever, but that's basically the first one that he sees. So he pulls out front, and the guy was like, he goes, hey, is this place expensive? And the guy's like, for Beverly Hills? No.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
But in general, yes.
Which is funny, though, which is $235 a night, to be honest. if you're going anywhere where there's a sporting event happening in a major city, that's how much you're going to pay for one night at a hotel. More like, or at least like $180.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be like luxury hotel, but mind you, this is 1984, so that's hella expensive for 1984.
Yeah, true.
Because comic books were still less, was still just slightly over $1 in 1984. Maybe they might only been 95 cents at that point. I don't think it was until the 90s they became like $1.25 or something like that.
Yeah, so he goes into the hotel and automatically the concierge is on the phone pretty much telling someone like it's all booked. Yeah. So Axel Foley decides to act like he is from Rolling Stones and they have messed up and failed to put his booking.
He is there to interview Michael Jackson. That's I'm here with Rolling Stones to interview with Michael Jackson. What's more 80s than that?
Yeah. And so he's like, well, you need to find me a room. So eventually the woman's manager overhears who Axel claims to be here for and kind of like rushes in and is like, oh.
That's not why. It's because the things he says and the dramatics he's making.
Yeah, he's like,
which
it's
we
okay.
Can't talk about, but
he pretty much says like, it's okay. I'll blame it on racism, essentially.
Yeah, but it's hilarious.
And because he's just doing it because he wants to get his way, and he knows that they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah, 100%.
Well, he's hoping that they'll be like, oh my gosh. So then the manager comes over. Is it that funny?
It's hilarious.
The manager comes over and finds him a room very quickly, obviously. So he, he obviously that sets the tone. So that's the hotel he's gonna be staying at. So he's now like set up home or whatever in Beverly Hills, and he decides to go see an old friend of him and Mickey's.
Yeah, because Mickey had brought her up earlier, telling him how he got the job. He's like, Jenny Summers. He's like, Jenny Summers, I haven't seen her forever. And he was like, yeah, she put a good word in with her boss and got me the job. I was, I'm a security guard, which is how he was able to get hold of the bonds because he was a security guard at the warehouse.
Yeah.
So then basically he goes to the gallery and we get this we get this funny scene. We meet the character Serge, which shoot me if I'm wrong. I believe Serge comes back for the third one. I don't remember if he's in the second one, but I believe they brought Serge back for the third one. Yeah. I can't remember because I haven't seen 2 and 3 in a long time.
I don't know.
But we get to meet Serge and he did their whole interactions is really funny.
Yeah.
He goes, well, how much does something like this cost? And he's like, I already just sold it this morning for $140,000. Get the fuck out of it. No, I said it myself.
Yeah.
He says something like, get the fuck out of here. He goes, no, I saw it myself. Or it's like,
yeah, something like that.
It's hilarious.
And then he also offers his espresso that he brews himself and puts a little lemon in it. And I'm like, why would you put lemon in an espresso? Unless that's really good. Someone tell me I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm like, what? Okay, whatever. Weird. But yeah, so their interactions did have me cracking up.
No, that's great. He
was funny.
And then so he meets up with Jenny and he, they, as you can tell, we were all, it looks like they all grew up together, basically.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were really, because he talked about, you filled out really well, you look really good now that you're growing up. And she's like, well,
you look old.
Yeah.
At some point she says, and I'm like, damn, girl, that's mean.
No, she says that to him.
I know. That's what I said,
no,
damn, girl.
he says that to her. You look old.
Oh.
Yeah, which I was like, damn, man. And that's when she says, fuck you.
Yeah.
But, so they had their little, quarrel back and forth and stuff like that. So we know, okay, obviously they've been friends for a while. And now they haven't seen each other in a while.
And he also breaks to her that Mickey died.
Yeah, that Mickey died, and he's in there, and he's trying to figure out what's going on and what could have happened. She explains, I got him a job at so-and-so, whatever. She's okay. So then he makes the idea where he's like, okay, well, I'm going to make my way to this Victor Maitland's place or whatever and have a conversation with him. So he leaves the art gallery, heads over there, and he finds out where he is. He does some kind of his little con man act where he takes flowers and acts like he's going to deliver them and gets right past the stewards, which, to be honest, I don't know any place that you just walk in and it's like, I got something. Like that happened on Big Trouble in Little China. It's like, oh, I'm here to fix the phones. And you just let them back there. And, oh, I got this flower delivery. I really got to get back there. And no one just does anything. Like they just let them go. But
I feel like, I mean, at that time, probably, yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like these places like that, I feel like there would be a little bit more security.
yeah, I mean, I work on a secured floor, and like sometimes if people forget their key fob in the elevator, so like you can get in the elevator, but it just doesn't let you where you need to go if you don't have the fob. And or you can climb up all of the stairs because we're on the top floor and ring our doorbell. Mm-hmm. And some people open that shit willy-nilly. I don't. I look through the peephole. And then I open the door.
Y'all ain't about to catch Becca.
Yeah, no.
No. She is y'all know she is a little private investigator. You ain't never going to catch her slipping.
But yeah, no, I look through the peephole. But yeah, although I do feel like, yes, usually most places, if someone has like a bundle of flowers and they're dropping it off, I feel like there was one point in time where people were like, okay, sure, go on back or whatever.
Well, maybe it's different based off of like places, maybe just because it's California and thing.
Well, also time. Back then things weren't, there were scary things happening, but nowadays things just like are popping off left and right. So you just never know. So it's a whole different dynamic.
So he goes back there. He speaks with Victor Malin and basically expresses to him like, hey, one of my friends and one of your employees passed away.
And he's like, oh no.
Yeah, he's like, oh no. He's like, but by the way, let's get first. Look at that. Let's talk about the elephant in the room in this scene. He's wearing a fucking robe. He's wearing a dress shirt, dress pants. And he's wearing a goddamn robe over him.
Yeah.
Like you a fucking Jedi or something? Like
he's chilling. He's rich.
You about to train some Padawans or something?
I mean, I walk around in my little Ugg slippers.
Well, that's different. He's in an office building. Like I don't know.
I actually wore him to the office the other week.
I don't know if like he's like it's supposed to be like kind of like a new like fashion or something like that, but it's literally it's a robe.
Yeah, who knows?
But he basically gets in a quarrel with him, and he's like kind of like, I know something's up fishy, and they're like, all right, you need to leave.
Yeah,
and he's like, I'm not leaving until I get some fucking answers. He's like, no, you're gonna fucking leave. So they basically call in security. He gets not executed.
Yeah, they execute him. No, movie over.
They what's the word I'm looking for?
They escort him.
Escort him. Yeah. They escort him out. They escort him out the building.
Execution.
This makes no fucking sense. Why the fuck would they throw him through the goddamn glass window thingy?
Yeah, instead of throwing him through the door. I don't know if they did that on purpose so then they could call the police and like to maybe give him more trouble than to get him off their backs.
No, I thought that seemed a little extra.
But yeah, I'm like, well, now you just destroyed the whole front of your business by
100%.
throwing him through the glass window. Because what makes sense though is when he gets to the police station, they say like, oh, well, we heard that you were, causing a ruckus and broke the window.
Broke a bunch of stuff and broke the window on your way out.
Yeah, which means like, I feel like they threw him through the window on purpose, like I said, to kind of like get him further away from them because now he had to answer to that with the cops or whatever.
But yeah, so now we end up, he gets arrested. He gets put back in the cop car and he gets taken to the Beverly Hills Police Department, which is funny. So the Beverly Hills Police Department, they were not actually allowed to film in a police department.
Well, yeah.
In the first, the Detroit one, that was actually, the Detroit police actually let them come in and film inside. But the Beverly Hills Police Department, they wouldn't let them. So they made a set, and basically what they wanted it to be the complete opposite of the Detroit Police Department.
Yeah.
Like where it's all super high tech, all nice looking on the inside.
Yeah.
While the police department in Detroit, which is more mirrors like RoboCop, if you've ever seen that one, where it's like it's just dirty and just nasty and stuff like that. Not as like extremely nasty, but anyway. So we kind of get an idea. They like to play by the book in Beverly Hills. When we meet,
well, yeah, because one officer gets mad and just punches him in the gut.
Taggart, yeah. Taggart punches him in the stomach.
You got to say it with accent, I feel like, to get it, which you should know how to do that.
Taggart?
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds like I'm saying tiger.
No.
But yeah, Taggart punches him in the stomach. And Lieutenant Boggle calls him.
It is literally like a parent/child situation where he like calls Taggart in the room and pretty much is like, you're gonna go apologize to him for
Yeah.
hitting him like that. And then Taggart comes back out like all sluggish with his chin down.
Yeah, he's,
He's
I'm
like,
sorry.
I hit you. I assaulted you.
Yeah, no, he's like, I'm sorry. I let my anger get the best of me. If you what's called he says something like, and then I can't remember exactly what he said, but then the lieutenant interrupts with like, Mr. Foley, would you like to press charges? He's like, what? Are y'all kidding me? Mr. Foley, would you like to press charges? Detective Taggart assaulted you. Would you like to press charges against him? He's like,
yeah, where I'm from, cops don't press charges against cops.
Yeah. Which is funny because that's another cool thing is like they really lean into that in this movie, and I like that the little demographic between you got the poster boys that live life by the books, and then you've got the Detroit where it's like much more crime ridden versus Beverly Hills, so they kind of have to. I'm not saying like bend the law, but they play a little loose.
Yeah,
which is I'm sure that's common and stuff like that. But yeah, we get to meet Billy and Taggart for the first time, and we get to see the dynamic scene between them, which Billy's played by Judge Reinhold, which famous from Fast Times at Richmond High and the Santa Claus.
Yeah,
he's Neil.
Yeah, and then another thing that they get on to Axel for is like, why didn't you say you were a cop? And why, you have a gun? Why do you have a gun?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And he keeps on doing he sounds like a little kid lying. I said I was on vacation. It's like, all right, I know you're lying. You're not on vacation.
Yeah. And then finally they're like, well, look, your sergeant told me if he even hears that you're on this case, you're done. You don't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
And Axel's like, okay, I'm just on vacation.
It sounds like a teenager being like, Dad, I'm just on vacation.
Yeah.
I swear it's not mine.
Yeah. So then you get Jenny picks Axel up from the police station.
Yeah, she pays his bail.
Yeah. And Axel notices that, well, now he is being watched essentially by Taggart and Billy. And so what he does is first he orders them room service.
Yeah, they make it back to the hotel. Him and Jenny go upstairs.
Yeah.
And we don't know what he's doing. It's pretty funny. She's like, oh, you want to get some food? And whatever. Hold on a second. I'll get some food. And he orders room service. But then he, like you said.
Also orders them stuff to outside.
Yeah.
And they freaking accept the food. Well, first Billy accepts the food. And then Taggart's kind of like, I'm not going to do that. And ultimately Eddie or Axel sneaks around the car and puts a banana in their tailpipe.
Well, we get this nice little funny scene where we see Damian Wayans. That's the guy that he walks up to, and he's getting for the fruit and stuff like that. And he's like, "How are these bananas?" I can't remember what he says, whatever. But you got the Wayans brothers they're just genius people. Like they're great character actors. I mean, I would say one of the funniest movies, which I'm sure you agree, is like White Chicks.
It's funny.
It's hilarious. The scary movies are hilarious because they help write those movies.
Yeah.
I was a huge their brother Kenan Wayans. I was a huge Kenan Wayans fan. Keenan Wayans.
Yeah,
fan.
I'm like, you trying to say Keenan?
No, yeah, I meant Keenan. Well, because like one of my first favorite movies was I'm Gonna Get You Suckers.
Yeah.
And then I also like the Low Down Dirty Shame. Like those were like one of my favorite like action movies when I was like 4 years old and like 5 years old, because I don't know how I got them. I don't know if my dad rented them or something like that, but I remember watching the crap out because it was very funny and very actiony. Like they're very, very good movies. Like, I till this day I still love watching them. But we get this little, we get Damon Wayans in the movie for a little snippet, and he's playing a funny character and stuff like that. It's very similar to like the character that we get later when we get to the country club.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically he puts 2 bananas in their tailpipe to what's called call their car to stall.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting away and losing his tail, which has been made fun of in I think it was Family Guy, and it's been referenced a lot about the two bananas. Like, does that really work?
Oh, yeah.
Same thing goes for Axel F, which is the famous Beverly Hills Cop theme song. What's called? That's been referenced in so many movies. The
Yeah, my favorite. Yeah. Yeah, so they essentially lose Taggart and Billy off their tail, and Axel and Jenny make their way to Victor Malin's warehouse because Axel truly thinks like that is where something's happening.
Yeah.
Something's happening. They're doing something in there, and it's not good.
That's where Mickey worked.
Yeah. And so then he heads to Customs to investigate a non-traceable bond that he found while in the warehouse.
Well, so they found it at the warehouse, and then they saw them take them out of the box and then move it. So then they followed them. That's where he also came across the coffee grinds. So that's when we that comes up later. We'll talk about that
so
later.
You get a few hints, and then also you get a scene where he's trying to like negotiate with the security guards. And the security guards essentially are like, I don't get paid enough to deal with you. He says he's a cop, and they're just kind of like, okay, you know what? You can have whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You can have whatever you want. Just leave us alone. Like, I don't care. We'll give you everything.
Oh, yeah, that's the ridiculous.
But they're also like, I don't know if they're being sarcastic or if they just like truly don't give a shit.
No, they're not scared. No, they're scared because he puts on such a good show. They really think he's the freaking federal inspector, whatever.
They acted pretty chill for being scared.
No,
they very nonchalantly were like, you can have anything.
I feel like it was like because he kept on threatening their ass and like I want to get the IRS up here to crawl so far up your ass, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and I've seen him do it before. It's not pretty.
Is that your Porsche outside?
Yeah, he's like, that's not my Porsche.
I don't know whose it is.
Yeah. So from there, that pretty much lets Axel know, like, okay, they're definitely doing something schemy. I'm on to it. The coffee grinds are likely to hide drugs. There's also some sort of like money laundering. They're doing something that can't go through customs, or they have to get through customs a very particular way. So now in his mind, he's like, well, I'm going to try to team up with Billy and Taggart, essentially.
Yeah, he's found information. And so now he feels like, okay, I am legitimately going to try. I'm trying to bring Taggart and Billy into on this, like because he knows he needs the actual local law enforcement. Like, hey, I found something. Y'all need to investigate this because shit's going down and you need to figure out what's up.
Yeah.
So basically, he ends up getting back to he loses Jenny. So they what's called in. So now he's by himself, and he ends up getting back with Taggart and Billy. He gets, which is really funny. He just gets in the back of their car and whatever, and he's like trying to I'm going to make amends. Listen, I know a good place we can go, a nice classy establishment, so we can talk about it. And what is it but a titty bar?
Yeah, essentially.
It's
a trip.
It's I don't know. It's funny, and that's another thing is like, it's so like. I don't know. That whole scene I feel is hilarious because the way like the girls are dancing is just like it's like showgirls.
Yeah.
Like it's like they're all like all they're like
they have the boas and all that stuff.
I mean, they're like performing like if they would have had clothes on, you would think of like a music video or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. Last time I checked, that's not how people dance in strip clubs. But anywho,
you're like last time I went. But yeah, so coincidentally, while they're there, Axel notices that the strip club is about to be robbed.
Yeah, you got two weird people that come in, and it's you made the observation. He's trying to be so serious, but he never stops dancing.
Yes, he's bobbing his head. He's like dancing from the waist up, like trying to tell them that the guy over there has a gun in his trench coat, and he's trying to point him out, but he's like. No one else is like grooving in their seat, and he's trying to be discreet, and he's not discreet because he's wiggling like a worm.
No
while
one else
talking
is dancing.
to him. Yeah,
like you said, no one else is dancing, and he's like the only person.
It's the epitome of just like being in your own world.
But yeah, he's basically trying to like listen here. I'm gonna go check out that guy. They're both wearing jackets. Don't you think it's too hot? It's June or whatever. So he's like, you cover me. I'm gonna go over there, and they end up getting a good bus. They end up basically, what's called unarming the two men, and they get a score and they get some nice perps to send to jail. So they head back to the Beverly Hills Police Department. And, obviously their lieutenant's there, and he's obviously upset with them. And Eddie Murphy comes in with this perfect lie to completely explain the entire scenario, what happens. And, it comes out to make basically Billy and Taggart
look better.
Look like, they're freaking superheroes, and he's just lucky to be with them. And I'd be damn it if fucking Detective Taggart just like, no, that's not what happened. And he tells the truth and whatever.
That's you.
And it's so funny because I really feel like this was ad-libbed at the last minute. But like, where he was sitting there, he was like, and they were taking him away, and he was like, you know what? You went up and ruined a perfectly good lie. Everything was working.
Yeah.
And you just ruined a perfectly good. I had him. We had it. And you just ruined it. You just threw a perfectly good lie away.
But yeah, so now Axel's like, well, I'm still going on my investigation. We'll see what happens with Taggart and Billy. And also, I think he kind of gets a little bit of the what's the supervisor's name? Judge?
The lieutenant, Bogomil.
Yeah, never mind.
It's Bogomil.
Yeah, so the lieutenant, at this point, doesn't he kind of give them, like, not the okay, but, like, the okay a little bit to proceed with, like, investigating?
Yeah, no. He basically breaks it down what he has and what's going on. And he literally lets them know, like, I think there's more to this. And the lieutenant's like, okay, I think you got something. But unfortunately, since we play it by the book here, if I had actual evidence of the drugs, if you saw the drugs, we could have a warrant. We go in there, we take them now. But I don't have enough here. And that's when he just says the whole, like, I know you could. He's like, come on, I know we can do it. He goes, no, that's not how we do it here in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
We're by the book. He's like, I understand I am grateful for what you have, but we don't have anything yet.
Yeah. So what Axel does is takes himself down to the country club.
Yeah, he's going to meet up with Miss.
That's where Victor Malin's going to be.
Yeah, he goes down to revisit the Miss Victor Malin once again, and basically, we get this really good interaction with the thug Zach, where he basically just throws him on the table, and before that, we get the really
how he gets to him.
Yeah, we get some funny thing. He's like, what's it? He's his name is Ramon.
Yeah,
yeah. I know this might not age that well, but still, it's still funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's comical. I mean, you're innocently laughing at it. Yeah, so he pretty much says that he's like, okay, well, because the guy's like, well, I'll deliver the message that you have to tell Malin. Just tell me what it is. And it's essentially that Malin should go get himself checked because relations that him and Ramon, Axel Foley, have had. And the concierge or whatever, the butler guy, I don't know, whatever they're called at country clubs, is pretty much like, I'll let you deliver that message.
Yeah.
That message would be best delivered by you.
Yeah. So he ends up going in there, and he basically comes straight up. He's like, Victor, I got a lot of stuff on you. He's like, and I'm going to nail you. I don't know when or where, but, you got it coming, and I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And, basically, he's just, unfazed by it and, gets thrown out once again and arrested once again, and gets sent back to the Beverly Hills Police Department, which then the lieutenant boss shows up and just completely reams him out.
Oh, yeah.
And there's that even little funny scene where he's acting like the guy he's like, are you mean to tell me you're the...
Yeah.
You're the person who did the butt at the Herald's Club. He goes, watch your damn voice. And he's like, what? Can you hear me through the walls? He goes, he can.
Yeah. So you get some more comical stuff going on. And at that point, Axel is ordered to leave.
Yeah.
They're like, get the fuck out of Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Billy's supposed to follow him to his hotel. He's going to pack up his bag and he's going to get on the air.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's airplane. I can't remember. But all I know is he's going to at least follow
the train,
him.
the bus, somewhere. He's going home.
Something like that, yeah. I can't remember exactly the exact details of what he has to do. But yes, basically get GTFO out of Beverly Hills.
Yeah, so on his way, he convinces Billy. The thing is, he got put with Billy, and Billy's been like the sucker the whole time.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of like, he doesn't stick up. He's just kind of like, okay. And like, lets Axel just like drag him around to whatever ventures. And without Taggart, Billy has like no backbone, essentially. Yeah. He's kind of like, okay, that's fine, I guess. Even though I'm not supposed to do this.
Which is funny. So if you watch the movie, they were told, they were given, their direction was given to them was like, hey, for Taggart and Billy, play like you're an old married couple.
Yeah.
And that's funny because after I read that, I'm like, oh my God. Like that scene where he's like, I know you've been drinking a lot of coffee lately.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why you've had to eat hard to relax?
Yeah.
He's just like, and Taggart's like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, he's like, I'm over this shit. Yeah. But yeah, so Axel stops by Jenny's office, and this is his last plea to be like, let's go to Malin's warehouse.
Yeah.
I know something is in there. Because
Malin came to Jenny and was asking a bunch of weird questions that made her feel uneasy.
Yeah, about Axel.
Yeah. And so then she's relaying the message back to Axel, and they're like, okay, well, let's go check it one more time just in case. And that's when we get this big scene where it's supposed to be the scene where, Axel is eventually going to die.
Yeah.
And we get this big build up, and then they end up taking Jenny, so she's gone, and he's like,
mind you, the whole time Billy is watching them go back and forth to the car. He watches Jenny be put in the car. He knows something terrible is happening. His ass does not get up out of that seat in the car.
He does.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually he gets out.
He sits there and shakes his head and rubs his forehead, just watching it all unravel, and then reluctantly gets out. Like, well, shit, here I go, I guess.
Yeah. And then we get they basically end up escaping, and they end up basically, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
It's like a circle back around. Yes. We circle back around and get to Detective Taggart. So now we got Billy, Detective Taggart, and Axel. Now they're going to head to Malin's mansion because we have 100% proof. We got the drugs. Now we have what we need. Taggart doesn't want to go, but they know it's very important, and they've got Jenny, so he's tags along, and basically they're going to get him and get Jenny safe and whatever, and they're trying to get backup coming or whatever. And we get this awesome scene. We get some cool gun work. We get some cool ballistic packs and stuff like that. When people get shot, it's bloody. It's really, really well done. The action part, like I said, the action parts of this movie are very good premium action movie. Like the stunt coordination, stuff like that, and all the shootout. It's very well done. Very awesome. We get a nice final fight scene between Zach and Axel, which, he gets the best of them and, basically blows them away, which, like I said, the squid work was great on that. Like, it looks like this was not supposed to be a comedy. Like, they put it looked like a good action part. So we end up getting a shootout between Victor Malin and Axel Foley.
Yeah, while Victor has Jenny.
While he's got Jenny, we get which I really like the scene. I know it's small, but like the scene where Axel gets shot in the shoulder, and you see the blood in the kitchen and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
and it wipes up against the wall.
Yeah,
as
that's
he's
really. I know it's a very
maneuvering.
Small scene, but that's very well done. Very well done.
Oh yeah, those little things matter. So in the final shoot scene, it is a standoff between Axel and Victor Malin. And Victor Malin's holding Jenny, obviously, as like a defense.
Yeah. She elbows him in the stomach.
Yeah.
Gets away.
Yeah. And then the lieutenant, the Beverly Hills lieutenant, pretty much like comes out of nowhere and just shoots Malin like right in the head.
Yeah, they both get him. They just unload on him, basically.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so then you get this end scene where they now have to explain to like the big Beverly Hills cop what happened.
Yeah, so the lieutenant's boss comes in and he's like, "Why aren't you in cuffs?" and stuff like that. And then that's when the lieutenant comes in and is like, "Hey, I have a full reason to explain
Full
all
report,
of this."
yeah.
And he explains everything what happened, and then he's like, "I don't trust you, Detective Taggart. What really happened?" And then we finally get Detective Taggart. He finally like lies, and finally he's like, "Whoa, that's what happened, Chief." He's like,
Yeah.
"All right, well, we'll be expecting a full report on this by
Yeah.
by next morning." He's like, "Got it done, sir."
Yeah, so pretty much that's the end of it. I do believe that. Oh yeah, then you get this sweet scene when Axel's like leaving or whatever, and he steals the robes to then give to Taggart.
Because the Beverly Hills Police Department picks up the bill for his stay.
Yeah, because clearly he wasn't gonna pick it up because didn't have that kind of money.
No.
I'm sure.
Well, you saw what car he was driving, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't have that money.
Yeah, so you get a heartfelt scene there, and then that's pretty much like sums up the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. Classic action, classic comedy. You know, one of the best, I would say, like I said earlier, but definitely one of the best Eddie Murphy movies. I mean, you know, this movie, so many people have seen this movie, and that's the cool thing is like you can always, this is one of those movies, like I keep on bringing it up, but like this movie and Coming to America, I mean, you're in a room with a crowd of people, and I swear to God, probably at least 7 out of every 10 people in that movie 7 out of 10 people in that room has probably seen this movie.
Oh yeah, it's just a really good movie. The humor's great. Eddie Murphy's great to watch. It's actiony, but it's not like on the edge of your seat. You kind of already know what's gonna happen. You can put two together.
No, it's not stressful action. Yeah, it's not stressful.
So I really enjoy it. It's definitely something I would probably rewatch again, even though this wasn't the first time. But yeah, again and again.
No, well, our viewing together was your first viewing.
Excuse my watch. No, this was the second or third time you and I have watched it together.
Well, I'm saying, but the first time we viewed it together was the first time you saw it. Though.
Yes, the very first time we watched it was the very first time I watched it.
When you were younger or something like that.
I don't think so. Maybe in passing, but I don't know. But yeah, so it was a really good movie. I would definitely watch it again. It's fun to talk about, and I really enjoy like the silly parts of it, especially when he first goes to the art gallery.
Yeah,
and he's talking to Serge.
And that's another thing is like this was one of the first movies that you said that you had made a suggestion like, hey, let's like you also want to review Beetlejuice, which I'm completely fine with.
I also said
Coming
to America.
Yeah, and you said Coming to America, and then when we watched this movie, you're like, hey, this is good movie. We should review this one, which was several months ago, but still like
Yeah, I'm an Eddie Murphy fan. If it's an Eddie Murphy movie, I will most likely review it.
Yeah, I got most like when I bought that VHS collection from that one guy, I got like.
He's a household name.
I got all the classics.
Yeah.
Like, all the classics. I mean, there's certain ones like I don't have. Like I don't have Metro.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a few you don't have, but yeah, I mean, I feel like Eddie Murphy's definitely a household name, for his comedy, for his lightheartedness. He's easy to watch. He seems very friendly. So yeah, I mean, he's reserved that spot as a household name.
Yeah, there's some great stories. Who was it? Oh God. His name freaking slips me right now. I can't remember, but the co-writers of the Chappelle Show, he had some really good stories when he got to meet like Eddie Murphy and stuff like that, and like while listening on podcasts was really cool. It's just in how much of a relaxed, genuine kind of guy he was, because he's this epic legend, and this is when early in his career in which he was really just known for like the co-writer, the white co-host, not the white co-writer on the Chappelle Show, because him and Dave wrote most of the stuff and whatever. But you asked me tomorrow, I'd tell you what his name was, or you asked me yesterday, I could tell you his name, but for some reason it's blanking me right now.
But yeah, so that is all that we got for y'all today.
Yeah.
As always, if we like it, love it, or even hate it, we'll still talk to you guys about it. We'll talk shit to you guys if we hate it.
Which is
kidding,
that's very few, because that's one thing is like, eventually we're going to get to a movie, all of that we maybe at least. Maybe we might get to a movie that I don't like that we talk about, but that's the one thing.
Which will probably be never. So when I say we'll talk about if we hate it, I mean we'll talk about even if I hate it.
Yeah, probably.
So, which I'll be honest. But yeah, so thank you guys for listening. As always, we are on most all social medias from YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So like and follow. We appreciate it.
Like, share, subscribe. If you are listening to us on any of the major or even minor podcasting apps, please give us a 5-star review or whatever review system they use.
Yeah, whatever you feel we deserve.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Which should be 5 stars.
And like I said, like, share, subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, and for hot and ready updates, if you hit that subscribe button, they should pop up on your homepage. As well on our Instagram, I like to give little teasers and share fun things that we've done that are movie or comic book or toy related, just various things. So yeah, I mean, I like to think we're pretty fun. So if you want to experience that fun, you can do so by following us there.
Yeah, and for our next episode, I feel like if I put it out there, that makes me, I have to do it. But for our next episode, should be our first video episode.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed if I can get this Adobe thing down.
But yeah, so thank you guys for listening. We hope you have a great day, night, evening, whatever time it is where you are. And we'll see you next episode.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks. Bye, y'all.